All right. So today, Jay, I want to bring up it's called the Oregon Gun Safety Measure. And I said that in quotes. It's called IP-17, and it proposes requiring a permit to purchase a firearm and the ban of high capacity magazines. So Washington, I haven't read Washington, but Washington State just did theirs, where they can't buy any mags higher than 10 rounds.
All right.
Which is absolutely insane. So it's kind of like a trick because that's so they can also limit certain guns as well, and the sales of those guns, and just making the process harder for everybody. So that's what Oregon's doing now, because as we noticed with like East Coast and West Coast, each state was trying to ump the other, except for Florida, you know what I mean? But on the West Coast, Oregon, Washington, and California seem to be in like a competition of who could pretty much take away your rights and screw your life up better. Washington ended up being like more on the COVID side of things. And then they just did this magazine size statute. And I don't even know if they voted on it. See, that's the thing too, is this kind of tripping me out, because we're actually voting on this year, I believe. And yeah, so a permit says a permit to purchase requires a completed background check with no loopholes, which is funny because there's already no loopholes in a background check, because the background check is done by the FBI.
Right.
So I don't know how that works. Does that mean the left doesn't trust their FBI? Just funny because I also don't trust with all the crazy shit they've been doing. Also includes a live fire and classroom training on how to handle, load, shoot, and store a gun, which is very interesting because how to store a gun really depends on what you're using the gun for. You know, if it's like a shotgun or rifle that's not in a safe, that's somewhere that you don't use all the time for home defense, you know, yeah, you're going to put the gun lock in it or whatever and store it away. Or, I mean, the thing is with that is like, just have your ammo in a, you know, like a little vault box or something, because you can't shoot the gun without ammo, honestly. But for these people, they believe that if you have a pistol at your house for someone breaks in or sneaks through a window, that you should have the gun locked in a safe with the lock through the gun and the ammo locked in another safe. Pretty much meaning like you're fucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta call the cops and everything. Who knows? It's not gonna help. So a lot of people like have their guns hidden or unhidden, like close to, you know, readily available, pretty much like at night, you know, and during the day, but just available because that's what you need when you need it. It says requiring permits to purchase firearms makes everyone safer, including the gun owner. I don't know how that makes them safer, because the guns make them safer, not making it harder for them to get guns, or even harder for other people to get the guns, because most people are good, you know, decent people with guns. So if more people have guns, that even protects the gun owner because they have their six. Prohibits manufacture, sale, and transfer of magazines over 10 rounds. So that's just like Washington, that's killing a sector of workforce in businesses when it comes to like manufacturers or companies that sell and make magazines that are over 10 rounds. Magazines owned at the time of passage of the measure may be retained and used in limited locations and for limited purposes. So what I take from that is pretty much you're going to have somebody with rightful self-defense have a pistol or any gun with like 12 bullets in it, right? And they're going to shoot someone that's rightfully so in a self-defense manner. And they're going to bring that up and be like, well, they're not supposed to use anything with 12 rounds in it. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, in like a case, and get the people, like the person that rightfully shot the other person, in trouble because of it. Just completely bullshit. It says states that have passed similar gun safety measures have seen a dramatic reduction of gun violence. It says when Connecticut passed a permitting law, its gun homicide rate decreased by 28%. Its gun suicide rate decreased by 33%. That's because it's less efficient. So that doesn't mean the suicide rate decreased. That means them being able to shoot themselves with a gun to commit suicide decreased, which like the number one way of, so the statistics are really goofy because most people don't actually shoot themselves to commit suicide. However, most people committing suicide that do shoot themselves do succeed, obviously, because it's a gun. But like, I think the number one is people like trying to hang themselves, which lots of times fails. However, those people become fucked up. You know what I mean? So I don't know if people are going to kill themselves. They're going to kill themselves. I don't think like making them go extra ways. It's just like the abortion stuff, like, oh, safe and effective. And it's like, well, if people are going to kill themselves, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but should it be safe and effective? You know what I mean? Or like with overdosing on pills and stuff, like if they do survive, it fucks them up for the rest of their life. Just like with hangings and shit like that, you know, they might not be able to walk again or have brain damage from the oxygen deprivation. And then just like with it says a reduction of gun like homicides or whatever, that doesn't mean less people killed people. It just means they killed people in more violent, longer lasting ways, like knives, whatever comes to your imagination. It says conversely, when Missouri repealed its permitting law, its firearm homicide rate increased by 47%. Its firearm suicide rate increased by 24%. It's because it's more efficient. You know what I mean? It's more efficient to kill anything with a gun than a hammer, you know?
Yeah.
Or, you know, yourself with a rope or medication. It's way more efficient. I've always said that too. And Europeans, they're like talking about guns. So I'm like, you guys like killed each other just as much, if not more, but you do it brutally. You like beat each other to death. And I was like, if I had to take 30 stab wounds to like one bullet in the head, what do you think I'd take? You know what I mean? Do you want to instant and over with, or do you want to suffer for however long it is, bleeding out on the ground, like in agonizing pain, or do you just want the lights to go out? That's always my argument. I'm like, I'd rather somebody shoot me than cut me up. Honest to God. If
I
you're
want it
gonna
over
die.
with.
Yeah,
it's better to just take in no suffering.
Right. If you like, if there was a choice, if like no matter what happened, you're going to die. Do you want to suffer or not? That's why, like with suffering animals, you like put them out of their misery. You know, I mean, they, you know, take them to the doctor or whatever. But if you have like a cow or a deer that you hit with your truck on the side of the road, you know, you don't sit there and let it twitch and slowly die. That's fucked up. That's suffering. People will pull out a gun and shoot it in the head to end its suffering. It's actually more humane, even though, you know, it doesn't sound like it, but it really is, you know. But so large capacity magazines, or what they're calling them, LCMs, have been used in all 10 of the deadliest mass shootings in the last decade, is what it says, which makes sense.
All 10.
It says all 10 of the deadliest. So that's like kind of a trick statement too, because the deadliest would be the most amount of people killed, right? And of course,
but 10, right? 10.
Yeah, the top. Yeah, all 10 of the deadly. Yeah, you see, that's another statement to mess with you. In all 10 of the deadliest mass shootings.
Yeah, like all these 5 apples were poisoned.
Right. Which there's many more deadly mass shootings, but they say the 10 of the deadliest, all 10 of the so it's just dumb because the deadliest, I'm guessing, is like, I'm going out on a limb here, Jay. I'm just guessing, is that it's the most people dead, right? Which of course, the most people dead in those shootings, see, it says shootings too, would be from someone with a magazine that was, you know, higher. Of course, it doesn't say mass bombings. It doesn't say, you know, people running over crowds of people in cars and but of course, you know, saying large capacity magazines have been used. Now, it doesn't say that they've been used to commit those mass shootings. You know what I mean? Which you'd just assume. Yeah, I mean, like if a guy has a mag in there that's like bigger than 10 and he never uses it, that shooting would still be in this right here. Even if he just had a pistol with 10 and only used the pistol about a rifle with more, or another pistol with more, it would still qualify for this. So it has been used in some way. I'm guessing a couple of those are like left in the back of the truck or van.
Yeah.
Or
and it's funny how they highlighted mass shooting, right?
Yeah.
Like they're specifying what type of horrible thing happened, right? Which is shooting, which relates to guns. How about mass murders, which could be very broad and could encompass guns, but
or shootings in general. Yeah.
Yeah, but majority of the time it's normally like a bomb, some sort of blade,
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go on a murder spree or whatever, yeah, sure, it could be a gun, but in order for you to stay hidden and low, like maybe a knife would be much more covert. I don't know, like low
Right.
key, so you can keep going. But
Well, they
they're
say
they're
mass shootings.
yeah, but say they're targeting guns, or they're highlighting guns and highlighting it out of these all of these other types of murders or mass murders that could potentially happen.
Yeah, to me, it appears they're targeting rifles because it says mass shootings. Of course, mass shootings are going to be done with weapons with higher magazines. Now, that could only, what's the death toll on that, though? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
30, 40 people. Now, let's look at all of the average shootings and how many people died from that. Tens of thousands, hundreds of, you know what I mean?
And they're done
Uh,
by like pistols or something
Yes,
small.
most of
Like,
all shootings are done by pistols. And that's what it
yeah.
says too. Like it's with the suicide rate. It says the suicide rate went down. How does the suicide rate go down? People don't usually shoot themselves in the head with a rifle.
Hmm.
People don't even shoot themselves in the head most of the time with a shotgun. It's usually with a pistol, and that pistol typically has a 10 round mag or 12, but it's only one fucking bullet that they shoot themselves with, right? So these statistics don't make any sense. They're trying to make it so it's harder to get a gun. That doesn't matter. People could just, their grandpa, if you want to find a gun, you're going to find a gun. Even if, oh, I got to take this class to kill myself is what they're saying. That's not true. They could just go in the other room at their family's house and grab one or, fuck themselves up for the rest of their life with overdosing or hanging themselves or jumping off a building, that wasn't quite high enough.
Yeah.
So the whole argument and the statistics are misleading AF. So it says LCMs significantly increase the shooter's ability to injure and kill large numbers of people quickly because they enable the individual to fire repeatedly without needing to reload. Now,
Well,
that's
that's
subjective
debatable
because it
too.
says
Yeah,
large
subjective.
numbers of people.
Yeah, like even if you're a really good shot, you're still gonna miss. You're not gonna be like what is that dead shot in that one movie where every single bullet is going through the intended little hole when he
Yeah.
was like testing with the cops.
I think you're
Like,
less accurate shooting many like rounds at a time.
yeah,
Because the
yeah,
gun's kicking, you're just pretty much not spray and pray, but you're, intently,
yeah.
like if you have one bullet, you're gonna make it count. If you have a bunch more, just shooting into a crowd, only like a couple people come out dead. People are
Well,
fucked up and
see,
hurt, but
at that point, you need to separate what an automatic machine gun is
right.
versus a gun that only shoots one bullet at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these anti-gun advocates, they don't know the difference. They just look at a gun. It looks the same as the gun that shoots full auto, which means you just hold on the trigger and it just keeps going and going, going, versus one that shoots semi-auto, which when you pull the trigger once or hold it down, you only hear one bang. It's up to you to let go of that trigger and pull the trigger again to set off the next bang. In some cases, like bolt action rifles, you would have to cycle the whole round out and cycle the next one in,
Which
which
is
is
just as efficient.
yeah,
Because either way, you're still aiming and like pulling back and pushing forward for the next bullet, like gives you time to
yeah,
take a breath,
like
I'd say.
yeah, you can't rapid fire with a semi-auto gun. Sure, you have like a like fast finger trying to pull that trigger as fast as you can, but still, you're not going to be accurate. It won't you won't be as accurate as a machine gun going full auto with a lot of rounds just spraying,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be one of those points where they'll be lucky to hit something or someone because there's so much recoil. The gun is uncontrollable. You can't. It's just moving around so much, kind of thing. But yeah,
Yes.
that's subjective and it is debatable.
I'm just surprised they haven't tried banning shotgun. They don't
Shotguns are
understand.
much more deadlier than AR-15.
Way, way more. And they come in all different sizes, shapes, and you could put 8 slugs in a lot of these.
Yeah, and
You
a
could do with
slug does a
8 slugs.
lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah. Buckshot does a lot of damage too. I mean, all of it,
Hell, birdshot.
Yeah, all of it does
Imagine
a lot
getting
of damage.
peppered by little metal balls.
Right.
You won't die, but oh God, that's gonna be like
Well, you're close enough,
hell.
it'll blow a fucking foot long hole through you.
Oh yeah, but if you're far enough, it'll be hell for the medics to get every little metal ball out of your like skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I
Like
just can't believe that they're not
like
going against that.
that's one thing these anti-guns gun people don't not realize is that the AR-15 or these high-powered rifles, sure they're strong, they are I guess quote unquote used in war, but they're not. They're made for civilians and for hunting.
Mm.
They don't realize that a 12 gauge shotgun is much more deadlier than a AR-15. Sure, the AR-15 will shoot something a lot further, but
It won't
shot for
blow a hole
shot,
through you.
yeah, shot like
It's a really clean bullet.
a shotgun is used to break open doorknobs. Like if you watch like those SWAT movies and whatnot, they use a shotgun to blow away the doorknob and then they'll kick open a door. Like
I'm
it's
surprised they won't
very
ban
efficient.
22s. 22 is like the most used bullet in like the whole gang crimes and shit. That's like
Is
very
it?
common. Yeah. I mean the 9 mil is too, but 22s in the inner cities, yeah, because it's super fucking cheap. And 22s are very easy to come
Yeah.
by. And then the bullets bounce around inside of your body and make like 6 holes with one bullet. There's no kick. It's not that loud of a gun. And it's pew, pew,
Hmm.
pew, pew.
Yeah.
Yeah. If 50 Cent was shot by a 22, he'd be dead right now.
Mm,
Guaranteed
that's
fucking deed.
debatable. He
Nine
does have a lot
nine
of
times.
muscle.
Oh, he's not as big as you think he is, though. 50 Cent isn't a big guy.
I
I
know
don't know
he's
what he was
short.
shot with, but I guarantee that it wasn't a 22. And it's because it like hits you, bounces off your rib cage, and tears through your organs. If he was shot 9 times with a 22, each one of those would have bounced around inside of him. He'd be dead. Those bullets it's crazy. It's like a ricochet, but inside of your chest.
Mm.
Guaranteed. He would have bled out really quick and they wouldn't have been able to stitch all that up. I don't know. I don't know about selling your soul to the devil. I couldn't tell you. You want to hear another wild fact here that's stated in this bill of them trying to get people to go with it. It's it says an analysis of mass shootings between 1990 and 2017 found that attacks involving large capacity magazines resulted in a 62% higher death toll. Doesn't that make sense though? You know what I mean? If they're able to
Hmm.
shoot more rounds, wouldn't that cause more death
Yeah, makes sense. But
theoretically? Right.
the I guess the whole argument is having a high capacity round versus small limited capacity round mags, right? Like if you're very versed and trained, you can switch out a mag pretty quick between like once you shut off all your ammo from the one mag. Just let's just say it's a 10 round mag. Once it's done, eject, slap in the new one, cycle, and you're ready to go. And that could be done in like seconds.
People are just going to
I
make
don't.
them. That's the thing. It's just taking it away from good people. Criminals are just going to make them.
Well, criminals are just going to go to the black market and get like drum mags
Yeah.
that are even higher capacity.
Or they're just going to drive to Idaho and get
Yeah.
it. That's all they'll do. That's the thing. They're just removing it. This whole thing isn't about helping anybody. It's about removing our ability to see all this. If you look at all these, what and really look through it, all it is like if we send National Guard, like Oregon National Guard, to your house to like Nazi your ass as a Jew, but like just that kind of way, you're going to be limited to 10 rounds and we're not. That's all it is. We know you're going to have to reload unless you're a criminal. That's all it is. That's all it's
Mhm.
doing, other than also letting a legal law abiding person have the underhand of someone coming into their house to shoot them could possibly have more. That's really what all
Right.
this is. It's just oppressing good, honest people, because criminals are going to do what they're going to do. And they're like, oh, these mass shootings. Well, look at the statistics of these gangbangers or, these crackheads or all these bad criminals, real criminals. Look at the statistics of them in murder and gun violence. Look at that and then compare it to what you're calling mass suicides from some crazy kid you had on medication that literally says on the label may cause homicidal thoughts, and like tendencies and shit. And like, look at that. You know what I mean? It's all set
Hmm.
up. It's just to slowly enact. And that's what it is with the West Coast, is they're trying to be like, oh, I'm a dictator over my people more. Oh no, I'm a dictator. I'm a dictator. I hope this doesn't pass. Last fact. It says a 2019 PBS study showed that 72% of people support laws requiring a license or permit to purchase a gun. Now, PBS is so left, it's not even funny. I don't know when they did that study. I must be part of the 28% that they didn't ask. 72% of people support laws requiring. So they literally brainwash their own people that listen to them, you know, which are obviously already brainwashed to be listened, in order to turn around and pull maybe 1,000 of them, you know,
Mm.
just to turn around and go 72% of our brainwashed, very, you know, following us enough to actually do a poll that we sent out. You know what I mean? Like actually dedicated enough to a poll. 72% of them, only 72% of them. That's interesting. You know what I mean? Only 72% of the dedicated far left brainwashed motherfuckers actually agree that there should be a license or permit to purchase a gun. The United States Constitution literally says we're allowed to have whatever we need to keep our government in check. That's what it says. It's not about self-defense. It's not any of that. That's a God-given already right. Back then it was like, that was before cowboys and Indians on the, you know what I mean? Like that was
Yeah.
back in the day, you know. So that was a given, you know. This person breaks into your house, you shoot them. No one's going to argue with that. They didn't have to put that in there. Self-defense is a God-given right. They didn't even need to put that in there, but it's literally to keep your government in check. And here we have government trying to tell us what we can and cannot have, and giving us a bunch of falsified statements and accusations and statistics on bullshit of why we should give up our right to keep them in check. You know what I mean? You know, it's like a bully. It's like a big bully saying, you know, no, you can't punch back, because a lot of the times when people punch back to their bullies stop bullying them. And
Yeah.
the bully rates have dropped, and it actually gets worse for you to stand up to your bully, because it's stupid. It's stupid. But yeah, there you go. There's the new Oregon safety measure, they call it, for 17, which they said they got 110,000 signatures. That's such bullshit. I don't agree. Who's paying these motherfuckers? You know what I mean? Says they've been doing it from 2019, or it started, and then all of a sudden it got way bigger with the Uvalde shooting, which is crazy, because if you look at it, you would want more people to have guns to be able to go past the cops that were holding them there and go, bullshit, you better shoot me,
Hmm.
or I'm gonna, or I'm gonna shoot you. Let me by, or we're gonna have a shootout, you know, and a bunch of parents and civilians sitting there going, the fuck if you are. And that's exactly what the Second Amendment is. The fuck if you are. If you're not going in there and saving those kids, I am. No, you can't. The fuck if I can't. You know what I mean? Second Amendment. That's exactly what it was made for.
Yeah, I
God bless
wonder if
America, man. God bless this
that
country.
Supreme Court ruling about the 2A might not make that law pass. Like,
Yeah, that's what I
sure,
was thinking too. That's what I was thinking.
it's being discussed, but it has to what is that called? Pass whatever checks that they have to pass, and uh it has to be in line traditionally with the Constitution.
Yeah, it does.
Something like that.
It
Something like
can't.
that.
It can't be unconstitutional. No law can be created that's unconstitutional, even by the states. That's the law of the land, Constitution, and that's not
Yeah.
made by the government. That was made by the founding fathers. The government has to follow it too. If we
Hmm.
all have to follow the Constitution for sure. So anything in life, if you find it that does tries to supersede or change or infringe upon the U.S. Constitution, it is unconstitutional, and it is completely illegal in this country.
Yeah.
So yeah, these people aren't saying you can't have guns. They're saying you have to do all of this to have guns, and you can't have this, which is unconstitutional. It's going to have to be challenged. However, they say
Yeah.
that they already have 110,000 signatures. I'm like, you know how long that would take? And I just call it bullshit. Even though how easy it is to go by and be like, do you think we should have Oregon gun safety measures when it comes to purchasing firearms? That sounds pretty good, right? Like safety measures, right? Oh, it's where you take a class in order to get a gun. So everyone, yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah, people will sign it. However, 110,000 signatures is like saying Joe Biden got 80 million votes.